now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled Rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome and welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, Daniel,
And this is Ben.
on Spoiled Rotten. And today, we are spoiling something new for a change. We're spoiling Bat Fam, the
That's right.
animated series on Amazon. I really don't know how Warner Brothers was like, you know what would be good if we didn't have the Batman stuff moving forward.
Yeah. I gotta admit, when when I first started watching this, I was like, I get that this is a kids show, but I was not expecting it to be so much of a kids show that it's like completely changed the characterizations of basically all the characters. And I'm just like, it makes sense given the age that it's for, but it answered one of my questions that I've always had in the back of my head, which is, what would a emotionally present Batman look like as a father? And this is
it, man.
This is it.
So, did you watch the Christmas special they put out 2 years ago?
No, I did not.
I have to admit, I was like, this is definitely for kids, but this is very heartwarming.
Yeah.
But
It's cute. It's really, really cute. It's good for. I'm glad it exists for kids and all that kind of stuff, because it's nice to have a break from that super
coming
serious.
off of Gen V,
Yeah,
which isn't
super
even
serious.
just very dark.
Yeah, no, not even that. Just like every iteration of Batman for the past
Batman,
like 10, 15 years has been like, like super dark, the Frank Miller style kind of thing. And I'm just like, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a light breather. But at the same time, I'm just like, by episode 2, I'm like, oh, this is too positive. I don't think this is definitely not for me.
So, it was interesting because I was like, I didn't want to use this as like an episode idea at first. I would literally just put it on because I was like, I just need my kid to focus on something else right now.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't want to. I'm not watching it. I don't want to. And then like after the first episode, another one, please. I want to keep. And then like
he got into it, eh?
We came back to it today, and he was just like, I love it. I love this.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're talking about that experience, because I'm just like, the entire time I'm watching this, I'm like, did Daniel get to watch this with his kid?
And I watched it by myself, obviously, but I watched like 6 episodes with him.
Mm-hmm. And to me, I'm like, that must have been so cool and great for you and him to bond over something that you both, well, whether or not you like it, I know your kid likes it quite a bit now. So I'm just like, I'm glad it exists for sure.
So yeah, if people don't know, this is a follow-up, because they do reference it. This is a follow-up to a Christmas special that was put out, like, I think it was called like Happy Merry Batman. Like it's a stupid name, but like it was a Christmas special where Damian, instead of becoming Robin, just becomes little Batman.
Yeah.
There's just 2 Batmans running around. And they take it seriously, and to the extent that like people are like, oh, there's the Batman. Like someone even corrects themselves at one point, like, hey, Batman. Like no one's like, what's this little kid doing? They're just like, yeah, sure. There's a big Batman and a little Batman.
They just accept it.
They fight crime. What is new is the addition of Claire, Alicia, who I'll explain later, and Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it now.
I don't know either.
So at first I thought it was like, oh, it's definitely Ra's al Ghul. But then I saw someone who speaks Arabic being like, you guys are all idiots, but I don't remember what they said, but it certainly wasn't Ra's al Ghul.
Right.
And I was like, oh, well, I guess a white guy who doesn't speak Arabic made this up, so I don't know what he intended, but obviously everyone's saying it wrong. So yeah, this show, while I do think it is childlike, it did feel more like just a straight up sitcom.
Yes.
Like, I mean that in a good way. Like I if that's what you're into, like it was a nice mix of what you would expect from like sitcom tropes, and I mean like 3-camera sitcom.
Hmm.
not like this evolution we have now, like Community and like single camera stuff. This felt
Right.
like okay, here are the characters, you know how they're gonna react. They're all wacky.
Yeah, like
Um
back to the 90s, early
yeah.
2000s kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And as Ben already said, don't go into it being like, well, that's not how that character is. It's like they don't care.
They
They're
don't
here
care.
to, but what I do like, it makes it seem like I love this show, but what I appreciate on
Hmm.
a writing standpoint is like we have our own versions of these characters, and that's what
Hmm.
we're going to expand on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not for anyone who's like this is how Batman should be or any character related to Batman. If
Yeah.
you are just willing to accept that they're not just like using the names because they know it's popular. Like, it's clearly made by people who like Batman,
Yeah.
but they have their own story they want to tell. It's a very
Hmm.
specific story because it didn't. I think that's what's not as child friendly, and I don't mean that in like, oh, I can't believe my kid's watching this. It's more like I don't think that a child's brain is set up to follow the story that because it is a story over 10 episodes.
Yes.
And I don't like it's not a movie split up into 10 parts, but it is a sitcom that actually has a point it's trying to
Hmm.
get across. There's a bunch of growth. There's a lot of things about trust and
Hmm.
the big thing that Rachel Gould says on top of like, no, once a villain, always a villain, and really like testing that theory and putting the characters through that. So I appreciated that they were like, no, we're doing something here,
Hmm.
but also we don't really mind that Batman has a beard and it's like very freely just says he's Bruce Wayne or Batman and talks to Damian like that. And
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon just has family movie night with them when they're out of costume. So it
Hmm.
feels like it's very obvious to him who they are.
Hmm.
Um, so all of that could get in the way of people enjoying it, but I do think it is a fun time. Maybe not the best time, but I had fun with what they wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, yeah, and that's always going to be true, right? And that's after the first episode, I was just like, oh, this is what they're going for. Okay, cool. And then after watching the final episode, I'm like, okay, there is a linear story that is connected here, and it's quite good from a story as telling standpoint. And from my perspective, now that we're well into universes, multi-universes, all that kind of stuff, I'm like, there's room for this. There's
Yeah.
obviously room for this, and it, their stuff exists too. The stuff that people like about Batman, I'm like, that exists, but that's not friendly for a kid. And I don't care what the arguments are for like how old you were when you watched Batman the animated series, that still is kid friendly, but this is very, very, very much like you said, that sitcom element that's trying to bring humor into it, as well as being like, yeah, these characters, and
Hmm.
my entire time watching it, I'm just like, yeah, I think this is one of those things that if a dad and their son, that's why I was curious about what your experience was with this content. That could be really enjoyable for them. Like I could definitely picture myself like if I was ever babysitting a kid, being like, hey, here's something that I think I know is appropriate for you first and foremost. And then
Yeah.
something I'm like, hey, I like this too. This is kind of fun. Would you like to check this out for a little bit?
Yeah, it's fun. So yeah, this it's called Bat Fam for a reason. Like they are building a family. There is no real like well, actually I do like that Batman still has to go through being like I've created this family but I still want to be a loner and I like that that is
Hmm.
pushed throughout the season.
Hmm.
But he has taken on a new ward in Claire who used to be Volcana.
Hmm.
Uh again, like not really for kids as my son was just like sorry, what's going on with her? I'm like, well, she was 40 years old and then she got turned back to being 12. He's like, huh? So when is she gonna get big again? I'm like, no, that's not gonna happen.
Hmm.
She is just a 12-year-old now.
Hmm.
um, yeah, he takes her in after she's betrayed. I guess that's spoiling a future episode, but yeah, she gets betrayed by someone she worked with as a villain, and he takes her in. And again, the whole once you're a bad guy, you're always a bad guy. This she disproves that as she
Hmm.
that very clearly is like, I don't remember what happened when I was an adult. I actually only remember being a kid, and I loved my dad, and I feel like I love Bruce Wayne
Hmm.
slash Batman. In addition to that, she says Uncle Alfred, and I feel like this was them like roping in like well, at least for me, the Batman Robin thing of like, well, Alicia Silverstone played Alfred's niece. Is that why
Yeah.
her name is Alicia? Like, she's a different character, and I was definitely like, oh, I can't believe I didn't see this coming. When that reveal happens, I was like, I really just thought she was just supposed to be like an Alicia Silverstone
Mhm.
stand-in. Um, which I guess if I thought that, I should have seen the change coming. But yeah, Alicia on the surface is someone who truly believes that villains can change,
Mhm.
and she has a thing called Evil, where she takes in a bunch of different villains like King Tut,
Mhm.
Giganta, and then Sad Hatter, which I really like that joke.
I
There's
really
Mad
like Sad
Hatter,
Hatter.
Sad
Yeah.
Hatter, and her brother Glad Hatter, who
Yeah.
we haven't met yet, but still, I really like that. So
Yeah.
she takes in villains and actually helps them rehabilitate, which
Mhm.
is another good part of this show that combats the whole Batman's just a cop, because he
Yes.
has to, well, more Damien has to reckon with that of like,
Mhm.
you can't just beat these people up and be like, we'll see you next time you commit a crime. There's actually people out there being like, or we could help them
Yep.
be whole.
Yeah. Yeah, because I believe in and I forget which episode this is, but they established this one piece of dialogue that's like, well, Batman defeated all the criminals and put them all away and all that kind of stuff, and it was I think it was the Mad Hatter episode, and you know, and they're setting the stage of like, yeah, this is a semi-retirement for Batman
Hmm.
and yeah, all that kind of stuff, because he did his job, but Gotham still needs saving, as we can see, but it's cute. It's a really, really cute story.
Yeah. Also, Ra's al Ghul is just like a ghost that's constantly egging people on, and he has his own
Yeah.
like beef with Alfred, like Pennyworth.
Yeah.
It is. At first, I was like, "Why is this guy around?" And then, much like Man Bat, Doctor Langstrom, I was like, I mean, I wouldn't want the show without these two. I feel like they actually add some very funny stuff to it.
They do. They add a lot of fun to it, and
And I felt
it's
bad for Man Bat in his like starring episode.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
oh no, he's gonna feel bad. There was
yeah.
a couple times where I was like emotionally like, oh, I can't believe I'm actually invested in these characters.
Yes, I was surprised at that too, especially with the animation, because one of the things about the animation too was like when I first saw this, just an image of it, a promotional thing or of it, I'm like, is this a joke? Because
I
it
don't like the bat
reminds
logo. I don't like anything.
no, not any of that. It's the fact that I like a few years back there was this viral clip or viral thing called Sexy Batman, and it was drawn so similarly to this,
Mm,
where it was just basically Batman in an LGBTQ setting where it's just like all his devices were played like sex toys and all that
got it.
kind of stuff. And the animation style was so similar to this, and I'm just like, is this a joke? Like, is this real? Is this one of those AI things right now? I can't tell. But then I'm like, oh, okay. You were like, yeah, let's review this week. I'm like, oh, okay, this is an actual
Oh, it's
real
real.
thing.
Yeah.
It's not an AI thing. I thought it was sexy Batman for kids, and I'm like, what? So yeah,
Oh, I just
it's
didn't like the look of Batman.
oh,
Even though
I
throughout
hate
the
it.
show
Yeah,
they do some really cool things of him coming out of the shadows and maybe like, yeah, there's Batman.
yeah,
So I just get used to it. But I remember, especially in the Christmas special, I was like, why the fuck does this guy have a beard? It's really
yes.
pissing me off.
It bothers me so much, and if like at certain angles, like the shot that you have behind you, because it blends into the cowl, you're like, oh, okay, he's got a weird chin. But then
No, that was my son.
you
He's like,
actually
why is
see
his
it.
face like that? And I'm like, it's a
Exactly.
beard. He's like,
Yeah, you see it and you're like, Batman's got a beard? Excuse me? Batman should be like the advertisement for Gillette or something like
all
that. He's
throughout the
always
Christmas
clean
special, I
shaven.
was waiting for him to cut the beard, and I'm like, "You're never getting rid of the beard." Oh,
Yeah.
and so by this show, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's their bit. Like he's not getting rid of that."
Yeah, fair enough. I guess this is a universe where his secret identity doesn't mean that much.
But it does because
Considering
there's like a whole thing about him protecting his secret identity.
right.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're so like fast and loose with when it matters, except for when they
yes,
have like this whole emotional arc of like, I should tell my best friend who I am.
yes.
I
That's
don't like lying
what
to
was
her.
confusing to me because I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies there, but I'm like, yeah, it's a kids show. Loosen up, Ben.
yeah. You just really have to be like, it's a kid show. It only matters when they need it to matter.
Yes, that's exactly it.
But yeah, so he's got these new people in his house, and I thought there was going to be more friction, and I kind of just liked that they actually got along.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I like that Claire is nice to Damien. She's not like leave me alone, or
Mhm.
like on the like take your kid to work day where she's like, I feel like you fail to realize that I just like you because you took me in.
Mhm.
You don't have to impress me with anything. I was like, and yeah, the painting at the end, I was like, wow, this actually uh was very heartwarming.
Yeah.
Uh, I was like, oh, that's beautiful, actually. But yeah, I like that, and so there are some villains. I think the first one we see that's under mind control is Killer Croc, who's
Yes.
like looking for something. So the show is kind of like there's something happening in Wayne Tech.
Mhm.
Not happening. There's something hidden in Wayne Tech that all these villains are looking for. So there's a Killer Croc, Clayface, Livewire. They're all being led by Mad Hatter,
Mhm.
um, which is important because there's a group of villains who or former villains who actually are trying not to be villains, and that's
Mhm.
like King Tut and I don't remember. Is it
I,
Copperhead?
I
I think
I
it's like
think
Copperhead,
so.
King Tut, and Sad Hatter
Sad Hatter,
for sure,
who's
and
Mad Hatter's
Jokanta.
daughter.
Those four are like in evil being um let's say counseled by Alicia, and I think
Mhm.
that's why I didn't see the turn coming. I did think like, who's this like white super like when I say white super, there's a superhero in this show called Bright that
Yes.
just is pure not pure light but looks like pure light in certain times, and I
Mhm.
was like, well they're covering the voice up, so I don't know who this is.
Mhm.
Um, and for whatever reason, I'm like, what? I just was like, yeah, Alicia's doing her own thing, so I didn't actually funnily enough, I was like, it sounds like it's a black woman, but I also was still like, but it's an American one, so I guess it's not it's not
Mm.
Alicia. Um and then turns out yes, in fact it is Alicia who has taken on Dr. Light's costume, but Vicky Vale called her Bright on TV, so she's like, I
Mhm.
guess I have to just go with that, even though
Ye-
she wanted to go by Dr. Light. She's like, I have other options, but you go Vicky Vale went on TV and called me Bright.
Yeah. That's
I
I mean
like
that's
that
pretty
joke.
funny. Yeah, it's really good. There's a lot of really good jokes within this that poke fun at the whole Batman
Hmm.
ideology and lore in itself. Like the one episode where it's like, okay, can we like chill on putting Bat in front of
Yeah.
everything? And he's like, and I forget what Damien says immediately. It's like, don't touch my Bat like book or something like
Hmm.
that. It's just so funny because I think back to the Adam West Batman movie where he's like literally calling everything like,
Hmm.
oh, we got to get rid of the bat bomb or let's get the bat ladder. And I'm like, that is actually hilarious. That I'm like, that's something like a dad that has seen a lot of Batman comics and content and films over the year have been like, yeah, I know what they're referencing there. That's silly. That's great.
Or when Man Bat tries to put like Bat in front of it, it's like I'm Batman Bat,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
they're like you don't need to do that. It's
Very
just Man Bat. You
redundant.
just stick with Batman, or
Yeah.
just stick with Man Bat. He's like, nah, I'm Batman Bat.
Batman bat.
Um, yeah, so basically that's where I feel like the show shines in terms
Mhm.
of like this is a sitcom, but they've got this very real thing of these childhood friends
Mhm.
who made this promise to each other never to lie to each other again or deceive each other. They do a fun flashback in one of the episodes of Alicia scaring Bruce and then him being like, well, you just that means you kept something from me and we shouldn't do that anymore.
Mhm.
And so then there's this big in sitcom fashion like I'm gonna tell her on the date. No, they're not saying that it's romantic. It's a very like very clearly like sibling or cousin type vibes with them.
It's
Of
platonic, yeah.
yeah, but I just feel like because it's family, I feel like it's more than just friendship. It does mean like family to them.
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
I'm just saying a platonic date.
yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
they they were going to see like an installment in a movie franchise they love.
Yes.
And he's trying to tell her he's Batman while the guy is shushing him, and he's like, "I guess it's weird that I chose to do this during the movie." And the guy's like, "You think?" It's like, shh, shh, shh.
I
And it's just
really
like,
like
yeah,
that scene.
like it's just like, yeah, maybe just tell me after the
Yeah.
movie.
Maybe we'll talk afterwards.
Um, but they both have a secret, right? And I like that the episode comes down to like when was the right time to do this because he was willing to say, but she wasn't willing to say. And so
Hmm.
it wasn't just an easy like, oh, this is on Bruce because he was lying about it, because she's lying about something as well.
Hmm.
Um, so I thought that was strong as well. Of the that they're you see them fighting as their superhero personas throughout, and
Hmm.
then Alicia actually finds out Bruce is Batman before he says, because Damien uses that to get out of trouble. Because in a previous episode, he didn't trust that Sad Hatter was a good guy.
Hmm.
He was just like, look, she's stealing. And she's like, she's literally moving in. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop this. And then, what's her name? Claire kind of gives him bad information, but that's because Clayface was involved.
Hmm.
Um, and so he still tries to beat up Sad Hatter. And she's like, I'm very disappointed in you. You know
Hmm.
what our whole thing is about here, about making sure that we let these people know that they do have an opportunity to change and we will allow them to. And he's like, I'm Batman. And she doesn't believe him until he puts on the suit. And I'm like, well, I guess that makes sense. No one else looks like this in the suit. Um, and I like that she's like, oh, so then that means Bruce Wayne is Batman. And he's like, please don't make me answer that. Um, I really liked that. And so she's also waiting for him to say something, but also not telling him her thing.
Hmm.
So I like that that lasts a little bit over a couple of episodes.
Hmm.
I also like that one of the arcs is Alfred learning to say no to everyone.
Yes.
And he brings it back to, he's like, actually, earlier I learned how to say no to you people, so no. And I was like,
Yeah.
yay, Alfred, stick up for yourself.
I really like that the him getting over his people pleasing thing and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff, and he still it's fantastic because the guise of that is just like I think it's Bruce and it's Alicia, right,
Yeah.
competing about like who's got the best Alfred day
Mm-hmm.
because they're both competing to be like, hey,
And he doesn't want to do any of that shit.
yeah, he's like, I just said yes because like all the things that they bring him to is like those are things you like. You didn't even bother thinking about what Alfred would like and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like my favorite thing was when they brought him to the heavy metal bar and those guys who came up to him was like, you lost, old man? You're looking for bingo? And then they end up driving him home. And
Yeah.
then he's like, hey, bingo night's on Tuesday, just so you know. And like they were being serious, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's hilarious. It's
It's
so funny.
I think it's a really funnily written show.
Yes. It's
Um
very clever for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, there's that we talked about the Man Bat thing. I really like that. He was like, "Oh, like I can help." And they're like, "Hey, aren't you like a bad guy?" He's like, "Yeah, in the '90s, but like now I'm not." He's like, I went through that phase." And they're
Yeah.
like, okay. And it's all about like Damien trying to prove he could be a leader or he could have his
Hmm.
own partner, until Batman's like, "No, you can work with me again." And yeah, I just remember being so sad for Man Bat when he overheard, like they set up that he's got great hearing, and then he's just
Hmm.
overhearing Damien be like, I mean, but now I can just be like Batman's partner again, so I don't really need him.
Yeah.
I like that they kind of softened it a bit by being like, I don't want him to get hurt. Like
Yes.
it wasn't just like, yeah, he's shit. I don't I want him to get out of
Yeah,
here.
it wasn't mean or anything. It was just it was out of genuine concern, but also it,
He just dropped
feelings do
him
get
though.
hurt. Yeah,
Yeah, like he
feelings do
dropped
get
him
hurt.
so easily
Yes.
that it was just like, I'm like, oh, at least he said it was because he didn't want him to get hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I and they didn't linger too much on the sadness because then Man Bat makes like a joke about like, well, I'm gonna save him because I'm, and then he confuses his words, and I'm like, oh, I wish we stayed a little bit in the sadness, but at least it was there for a bit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I don't think that Rachel Gould has an arc. I just think it's funny how he's constantly like, just remember, once a villain, always a villain, and
Hmm.
in general, wanting Damien to be the best he can be.
Hmm.
He's not even really like be evil. He's just kind of like, no, whatever. As long as you're doing the best you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the whole race thing. Because I'm just like you think about it and you're like, yeah, that's legitimately his grandpa. So
Mm-hmm.
like in this being included in the Bat fam and all that, I'm like all of it makes sense that he's around and all that kind of stuff. I just
My
think it's
son was
funny
like,
that he's like this ghost
yeah.
entity thing that just pops in and out from this picture frame. I think that's really, really funny.
So my son's just like, who is this guy? I'm like, that's Damien's grandfather. He's like, oh. And he's just kind of like, okay, he could stay.
Yeah, because I really like the Alfred and him bickering
Yeah,
thing.
it's so
It's
good.
really, really, especially towards the end of the final episode. It's like, oh, can we put him back in that? And then someone else chimes in. It's like with soundproof glass, and I'm like, this is hilarious. It's so funny.
um, so yeah, there's the trust stuff. Like, can Bruce trust people with his secret?
Mhm.
Uh, can Alicia trust people with her secret? They come to that, but then there is like the ever evolving. Like, it kind of starts off small where there's the movie night, but Bruce is like, well, Damien, obviously you're gonna go see the baby movie because you
Mhm.
can't see this movie.
Yeah.
But it kind of evolves into him once the identity stuff is out, and I like the detail of him telling Alicia, "I'm Batman,"
Mhm.
because I feel like when he's talking to her, he even says, I think later, like, "I don't think of myself as Batman. Then I'm it's me and my childhood friend, so I'm Bruce still."
Mhm.
And so I like that he said, "I'm Batman" while he was dressed as Batman, and she's like, "Yeah, I think we've established that." And he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I mean Bruce. I'm Bruce Wayne."
Yeah.
um, I thought that was smart, but yeah, they kind of get over that, and then they realize like, okay, we're looking for like the Everglow or the Anti-Glow, something like that. I don't know,
Mhm.
it's like a red pyramid type thing,
Yeah.
which was like this weapon that I feel like Doctor Light kind of had a handle on, but then it killed him, and it was sent away, and so all these villains are looking for it. Well, I guess it's mostly just Mad Hatter, but he's controlling a bunch of other villains to look for it,
Mhm.
and he's for whatever reason, Batman's like, we can't let Damien know about this. And I'm like, so just write into another lie. Okay.
Yeah.
um, and I like that they bring back the whole "don't make me say anything" because Alfred is kind of aware of what the ruse is. Like, they do this one episode where it's like, okay, you're gonna be Team Alpha, Damien. You're gonna go round up all the bad guys, and he does it, and he's like, I guess it is weird that I rounded up all of them and Batman didn't get any of them. So then he like comes back to Alfred on the Bat computer, and he's like, "What's going on? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Alfred's just like, please don't make me say anything.
Yeah. It's like we sent you on a wild goose chase.
Yeah,
Please don't put me in this position where I have to lie to you.
yeah. So yeah, that leads to another beat that I was like, well, I'm glad they did this, which is they bring back the Joker, who was a big part of the Christmas special.
Right.
I think he's like very briefly in the first episode of this, but then he like you kind of forget about him,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh yeah, the Joker, and they do like, I turned Damien into my son, and I was
Mhm.
like, holy shit, like I'm into
I
this, like
I was pretty like that's
it's
when
a
I was
two
like, oh,
parter.
they're going somewhere with this. Like like I obviously like through the first 8 episodes, I was like, okay, they're building on something, they're
Mm-hmm.
building on something. And then I'm like the last 2 episodes, I'm like, oh, this is legitimately a Batman story now. Like, because that's a
Yeah,
Batman thing.
yeah,
That's cool.
and I like. I mean, I know that it ends in kind of Damien being like, "Oh no, he never controlled me. I was
Yes.
just proving that I'm as good as Batman needs me to be."
Mhm.
So it's a little more not complicated, but there's more levels to it than just, oh, this is Batman
Mhm.
reaping what he sowed by not sharing with it's more like, do you want your kid to grow that way where like they put themselves in such danger just to prove themselves to you?
Mhm.
Um because you don't know that he's just doing it to get close to the Joker.
Yep.
Even though I was like, I hope he does a thing like that Simpsons episode where Bart's like, "You're fired, Dad," and then Mr. Burns thinks it's him, but he's talking, or he thinks it's Homer, but he's talking about Mr. Burns, and that pretty much is how this plays out, where he's like,
Mhm.
basically says like, "You're done, Dad," and Joker's like, "Yeah, take that, Batman," and he's like, "I'm talking to you."
Yep.
But yeah, they it's pretty dark. Like the first, I when I saw that it was like April Fool's Part One, I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, sick! Okay, like
Yeah.
we're going somewhere if this is a Part One and there's only 2 episodes left."
Mhm.
Um, and there's like this really like kid friendly to an extent, like, but to me still dark thing of like Joker used to love April Fool's Day because it was like when him and his dad could fully embrace their twisted ways. but it's
Right.
like them hurting each other and stuff. And he's like, and then my dad was gonna do the big April Fool's thing, but he never came back. He did it all by himself or whatever. And so you are kind of like, and this is Damien's chance to be a part of something. This is the dad that's actually letting him in on it and
Hmm.
not keeping him at bay.
Hmm.
Um, but then we find out Damien's just was playing along until he could screw over the Joker.
Yeah, just being doing double agent things.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really really fun, and it was really cute that there was that emotional beat within that whole episode, in the sense where it's like, I forget what the question was, but it was essentially asking like, Bruce was like, would you do this differently, would you trust him, had you known it would go to this? And Bruce goes yes, and then he's like, haha,
Mm-hmm.
I fooled you all.
Yeah, I never was under his mind control.
Yeah.
Um, we skipped over the Claire episode, which I really like.
Right.
This is the last, I think, the last one I watched with my son, though, where he was kind of like, "Is she gonna be big or not?" I'm like, "No, watch this." And so you see, like, the reason she's living with Batman is because he found her, like, basically with blown to an inch of her life
Hmm.
outside of a bank and put her into, well, it seems like he was going to put her into the Lazarus pit, but she kind of fought him and fell in anyway.
Hmm.
And that usually Lazarus pit stuff works because you're like, whoever you're putting in isn't going to come out, so it's not like a get out of jail free card.
Yep.
It is like you are really rolling the dice if you put someone in there.
Hmm.
And for this kid's show, it works that she just stopped being evil and turned 12 again.
Yeah.
Um, but you actually see how she got there, and it's a pretty sad story. Like, she was
Hmm.
born, she had these fire powers, these volcanoes, and her mom was kind of like, "Nah, I'm done with this." And she
Yep.
says, like, my dad never got mad at me; he always
Hmm.
embraced it. But you're watching like all the chaos she's causing. And she's like, and one day the scientists just took me and they were experimenting on me, and then she was put in some kind of seclusion
Hmm.
until she meets Caitlin Snow, aka Killer Frost. And it is confusing because they keep saying fire and ice, and I'm like, that is a duo,
Hmm.
but and it's not you two, so I don't know why we're doing this. But yeah, they keep saying they're fire and ice, and then they get kind of jump forward to them being full on villains and doing this robbery.
Hmm.
And I don't even know why, other than just to be like, she's just a shitty person. Killer Frost double crosses her and leaves her
Yeah.
for dead. And I'm like, I feel like you guys could have just kept working together. I don't really know what what this is.
Yeah.
But it's a kid's show, so it was like, yeah. But I did think like, this is pretty dark for a kid to witness,
I agree.
especially since she like slices her up with, because yeah, like someone's like, why does she have that gray eye? I'm like, I don't really want to explain it. Actually, just watch the show.
Yeah.
Like, the science of it is pretty upsetting. I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, she like cuts her up, and then the bank blows up. So she's like really not doing well.
Hmm.
Um, and she takes all the money, and then she's even more insidious because then she goes back to her once it's established, I don't remember what happened when I was an adult,
Hmm.
and she's like, oh, well, like, we're best friends, we were like sisters, and basically says, like, because in this episode no one likes Claire's art, she has
Hmm.
this big dream at the beginning of the episode where everyone loves her art.
Hmm.
I thought it was funny that they destroyed their own art because they're like, there's no other art that should be in the world. Ours
Hmm.
is all shit. She's amazing. But then everyone comments on the hair on her painting. Like, ew, is that a hair? Um, and no one likes her art. And so Caitlin Snow shows up and is like, wow, that's amazing art. We should be like, oh, let's talk to my friends. Like, we're going to put it in the museum. So they break into the museum without Claire knowing that they're breaking in. And at first I was like, what do they need her for? And then they're like, oh, it's because this door won't melt. We need your firepower.
Yeah.
Which is when I don't think she needed to see the donated by the Wayne family part, but she's very much like, no, I'm a good guy. I don't do that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And they're like, okay, then we're going to just fight you. And they make it so that she has no choice but to do it because they ice her up. And when she's trying to melt it, which I thought was smart, she's trying to melt it so she's already using her fire powers. then the cyclone villain kind of redistributes that heat so that they
Mhm.
can melt the thing. But at that point, her family comes to help her, which is great. Um, but I do like that she's like, "No, you're not my sister,
Mhm.
and I have my family now." And that's where that painting I said comes in, where they were trying to force karaoke night on her, but then the
Mhm.
episode ends with paint night, where she's showing Bruce like you don't have to be perfect at everything. Because I think the running joke in this is that while people didn't like Claire's painting, everyone thinks Batman's painting is disgusting. Like they have physical reactions to how disturbing it is, and he
Yeah.
uses it to distract the bad guys at the end. Where they're like, "How are you gonna do me like this? Oh, it's terrible. Oh my gosh." Um, so she gets him to paint, but he's like, "Well, I want to see yours." And so earlier in the episode, you saw her painting her dad hugging her, but I like that this is like her rebirth, and it's Bruce hugging her as a
Mhm.
flame, and I was like, this is some good stuff here.
It's some really, really good stuff, especially because it's like, as we're talking about this, these are great little themes that, kids should really,
Hmm.
really know. Hey, don't succumb to peer pressure and don't be a people pleaser and all this kind of stuff. And I think it's just a cute, fun way of layering some life lessons without being too heavy-handed in a very, very fun way. Because, it's great stuff to teach a kid how to have boundaries. I think it's
Hmm.
really, really good.
Yeah, I hope that they get that from it, but
That's what I hope too.
maybe the
Obviously, that's what I
parents
saw in
watching
it.
with them will be
Yeah.
like, probably should time to reinforce some of these things.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm not going to make a comment. I don't have a kid. It's a good
Um,
opportunity and spark a conversation. I would expect, I would
mhm.
think, but I don't know.
Oh,
People gonna
sometimes
do what
people
they're
just
gonna
are like,
do.
just watch this and leave me alone.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I
there's
could also see
but
them just turning it off and then walking off and just being like, I just need a moment to myself or whatever it is.
mhm. But
I'm not projecting from my childhood.
but if you are watching with your kids, it would be good to pick up on those things and not leave them just there. I also like that um, they constantly do the same thing to Clayface. Like they're just like, "Well, you're Clay," so Claire just like heats him up all the time. So he like basically is set.
Turns into ceramic.
Yeah, um, yeah. That's all good stuff.
Hmm.
I think the only episode I don't like because it feels the most sitcomish without actually exploring its own lore like I feel like every other episode does was the one where he doesn't want the evil I don't like that it's called evil. It's E dash Vil.
Yeah.
Um he doesn't want those like group members at the home when he's gonna get interviewed by Vicky Vale, and I was like, this just feels so divorced from what we were doing before and what comes after it.
Yeah.
Its placement really did feel like I think we need 10 episodes.
Yeah. It is. I get what they're going for it in the
Yeah.
sense where Bruce is like, trying to present picture perfect and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of kids can relate to that. Is like, my mom wants me to be perfect all the time, but we know that things aren't, or my
Hmm.
dad wants to be, and all that kind of stuff. But you're right, that does seem the most sitcom-ish in the sense where it's like there's this constant element of like, okay, let's hide this, let's go over here, let's do all these kind of things, and there's some funny moments, like I forget,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
fireflies flying around in the house. It's like he hits the walls, like who would put a wall here? And I'm like, that's pretty funny for no reason whatsoever.
And I like when Man Bat tries to capture them and they're like,
Yeah.
Snake, can you just help us? And they're like, what idiot would tie up a snake? And he's like, ah, and he walks and he's like, ah, how did the snake get loose? That was a perfectly good knot.
Yeah, he even names the knot. He's
Yeah,
like, oh,
I
that was a
wasn't gonna
great,
attempt
like,
the knot, but yes, he
yeah,
does name it.
it was so funny. I'm like, you're naming the knot like a sheep shank or whatever it
Yeah.
is. I'm like, this is really, really funny because I'm like, that's one of those things where I'm just like, I can clearly see how that would be very funny for a father, but would completely miss
Hmm.
go over the head of a kid. Because I think, especially if the father knew something about knots and stuff like
Mm.
that, it'd be like, hey, that's not the kind of knot. I I've met people like that that are,
Right.
well, they're sailors, so you know. that's
Well, there you go. You're
probably
gonna know
why.
your knots.
Yeah, they take it very, very seriously. But that to me is like definitely this is layered for sure. Like a lot of I think cartoons, even when we were kids, were layered.
Hmm.
So
I feel
it's
like those like
quite nice.
Animaniacs type shows
Yeah.
were always
Oh
very
yeah.
layered.
Yeah. Animaniacs is a great, great example of that for sure.
But yeah, I think that was the only one that didn't have the juice. It's funny, like as we've said,
Mhm.
there's funny moments in it, but I was just like, it's the least likable that Batman is, and it just comes
Yep.
at such a weird time, especially knowing now what they were doing with episodes 9 and 10. I'm like, I don't think we need him to be this unlikable going into that. Like
Yeah.
you're already gonna feel like the guilt
Hmm.
after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine. It doesn't hurt too much, but it did have me feeling like, oh, I was having such a good time with the show, and now I don't like this episode. And then it completely redeems itself in 9 and 10 for me, where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit, we're doing this. Okay,
Yeah. It's a bit of a speed bump, but it does loop back at the end, and
yeah.
it's just like, okay, cool. They did it. Good writing. Yay.
And part of it that was interesting to me is that I not knowing this was coming out, I was listening to the voice of Man Bat Bobby Moynihan's podcast
Mhm.
called Who Me, which is him as Batman, but he says Batman just I'm assuming to get around any legal issues.
Sure.
But like it's him as Batman interviewing other DC characters, and I think sometimes down the line it'll be just comic book characters, but he interviews other DC characters pretending like they're just hanging out, and then it always turns into him uh interrogating them to see if they killed his parents. He's like, there's three suspects. Joker, Tony Shalhoub. I just can't be sure it's not him. And then you. And it'll be like the one I'm listening to now is Eugene Cordero, who played what is his name? Pillboy in The Good Place.
Yeah.
He is being Black Adam now, and obviously just doing the Rock impression. And so he's like, I'm gonna put you through a fucking gauntlet of questions. Question one, who is she? And he's like, what? What do you mean? And like, he's like, who? Where is she? And he's like, no, 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 no. Don't ask me that. And then like, it always just leads to, did you kill my parents? And I like that the Black Adam was like, yeah, probably. I don't know. Maybe. I'm sometimes a bad guy. Yeah, maybe I did. And he's like,
That's really
honestly, I
funny.
like your honesty. But it's just funny that he's man bad in this and then has his own like foul mouthed podcast where the bit is just always anytime someone actually says Batman, he goes, who, me? And they're like, yeah, who else would we be talking about? But he also in that show is desperately trying not to let people know he's Bruce Wayne, even though like the show, everything he talks about makes it very clear that Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same person.
Yeah.
Like he'd be like, yeah, my parents died in an alley. They're like, were they rich? He's like, yeah, no. And he's like, do you mean like the Waynes? He's like, no.
It's really, really funny how this version of Bruce Wayne Batman, voiced by Luke Wilson,
Yeah.
is just not on the ball like you expect Batman or Bruce Wayne to be. He's just constantly slipping up like that. He's a human.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very, very, very human kind of person, as opposed to, like I said, the Frank Miller style Batmans, where it's like, oh, we have a plan for literally every kind of situation,
Yeah,
and he's always prepared for it. And it's annoying to the degree sometimes where it's just like,
I agree.
eh. Be
No,
human for once,
this is someone who's going through something. Like that's
Mhm.
why I like the whole like maybe I should forgive Alicia for not being ready to share with me just because I was ready to share with her.
Right.
And even how nervous he gets trying to explain to her, especially since throughout that episode she's saying things like, you're the most honest person I know, like you'd never lie to me. And I'm like, and she knows that he's lying right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I also like the way he played when she's like, I know who you are. He's like, I'm not Bruce Wayne. I'm like, wait, is this going to be like a reveal that he got a decoy or something, like so that that whoever's saying this isn't lying, that they're not Bruce Wayne?
Right.
But I'm like, oh, he just really was gaslighting like hard. Like
Hmm.
he didn't play that like an idiot. He played, I mean, he played it like a terrible person, but he didn't play it like someone who was like grasping. I was like, he's saying this with such conviction. I'm
Yeah.
not Bruce Wayne until she says Damien told me everything, and he's like, oh shit, okay, get out of here. I like that. Like up until that point, everything she says, he's just like, I'm not Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not Bruce Wayne. And I'm like, it doesn't sound like he's lying. It sounds like he's convinced he's not Bruce Wayne. I really
Yes.
thought like, oh, this is gonna be a thing where it's like Clark Kent under the mask or something like that.
Hmm.
No, he just was really down to lie to her at that point.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like I would imagine something's very similar if if you're a dad and you put on the Santa costume for your kids and all that kind of stuff. One year when they get old enough, you're like, all right, Uncle Bob, you're gonna have to come in and do this so
Yeah,
that they can see both of us in the same room.
yeah, they didn't go that route,
Yeah,
but yeah, I thought that's where they were going with that because
yeah.
he's really just this line delivery is very like, I believe him. He's not Bruce Wayne.
Hmm.
But yeah, like you said, he's not perfect at all,
Hmm.
and unlike other Batman, he's very. The show's very comfortable showing that he cares about how
Hmm.
people see him, uh, especially with the wanting Claire to feel not just included, but to like actually like him. I like
Hmm.
that. That's stressful for him. That he's like, well, what can I do? What can I do to like impress her and make her happy? And he's always got like his little things with Damon, like the deedly deedly dee. And I'm like, yeah, this is nice. I
Hmm.
like all of this. Or no, I guess they just do the Batman theme. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah, that's fun too. It's just like, yeah, they're singing the Batman theme all over the time. Yeah, it's a Batman that's vulnerable, he's insecure and all that kind of stuff. It's a nice change of pace from everything. And like this is one of my biggest things about a lot of Batman stories. Not that I dislike them, but I'm just like, yeah, he's too polished for the task that needs to be. Obviously, as a human, he's deeply flawed, but like for the task that needs to be,
Mm-hmm.
he's very, very whatever. Which is why, like to this day, one of my favorite kind of Batman moments is always going to be the Barry Allen letter from
Mm-hmm.
Flashpoint and all that kind of stuff, because that's a moment that catches him so off guard and he truly is able to express that vulnerability for a brief moment and be human and all that kind of stuff. So I love that you get to see that here, and it's just a nice break from serious stoic kind
especially
of
since
Batman.
especially since it's for kids, like you said,
Hmm.
like kids can see that their hero isn't too cool to
Hmm.
care about things, and vocalizes I worry about being perfect a lot, and having
Hmm.
people tell him like, yeah, that's, you don't have to worry about that, like
Yeah.
you, the expectation isn't for you to be perfect.
Hmm.
um
And I
so I
like that he's also able to be like, "Oh, I'm like this because my mom was like this, and when I was a kid, and all that kind of stuff, and my parents were also like this." So it's the idea of like the apple doesn't fall too far from
Mhm.
the tree, or breaking those generational curses and all that kind of stuff. There's depth in the writing for sure. There is. It's not just a kid's show, but there's elements there that I'm like, there's a lot of thought put into where they're positioning these characters.
Well, and I think that's why I asked if you'd seen the Christmas show, because like that
Mhm.
is what's carried over for sure. Even though there's
Sure.
some characters I'm like, well, how did they just show up here? I
Mhm.
am like, what remains consistent is how thoughtful the writing is when it comes to these family dynamics,
Mhm.
and in general, like what you would want kids to be engaging with.
Yeah.
Um, so even though I'm annoyed that Damian Wayne isn't a Robin and that the bats like logos look terrible,
Yeah.
I'm like, I have fun with it.
Yep.
And as I said, I was emotionally invested in the, oh no, Damien's been taken over by Joker. Oh no,
Mhm.
Man Bat just heard that they don't actually want to work with him. And
Mhm.
uh, I love that Claire sees her family this way, and that
Mhm.
she genuinely, like even when they go to the baby movie and she's like, I'm just checked out until her phone dies, and then they
Sure.
end up just thinking it is actually a funny movie. She's like, don't tell anyone, but yeah, like that was fun. And so they have their own little thing together. I'm like,
Mhm.
I just like that the show wasn't about jealousy or like during her episode, Damien just wants to help her, and she's just like, leave me alone. But also in that, it's very clearly trying to help him not get caught up in it by being like,
Mhm.
boy, I don't know. Like, please go away.
Yeah.
I don't know you. I don't know you.
And
Um, yeah, it just was very thoughtful of like, yes, she wants to make her own way, and then realizes she already has the family she needs. But
mhm,
she also was like, I'm not gonna throw Damien under the bus either.
mhm. And that's another thing I like about this because Damien as a character, I just dislike. Because
Yeah, most
every
people like dislike him in the comics. Yeah.
yeah, because the biggest thing is for my criticism to be like, oh, it's nice to take a break from the Frank Miller established Batman and all that kind of stuff. There is evidence of that. Like you go to the Adam West stuff, and there's a lot of campiness and a lot of joy in the early iterations of Batman and Robin.
Hmm.
But ever since Damian was introduced, I'm like, no, he's just straight up a dick the entire time. And I really, really have a hard time with Damien's character, even though I'm like, it's well written. It
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense. They really understand the psychology of a kid like that in that kind of position, but it's hard to deal with him. And this is a version of him. I'm like, especially when you could argue that Damien is the lead of this show.
Well,
Um,
because Batman's not a part of the Christmas, like he's there, but it's a
yes,
Damien thing, so it makes sense that he's positioned more like the lead of this as well.
exactly. That I'm just like, oh, okay. So, like to me, like at episode one, I'm like, oh, okay, I can actually spend time with this Damien, especially if
Hmm.
we're like if he's from my mind the lead, and we're following his stories more than anything else, then I'm just like, okay, I can actually be good with this as opposed to being like, oh no, this is a family show, but he's still a dick. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he's not a
Um,
dick in this at all.
he's not. He's just a straight up kid that is just very enthusiastic. And I'm like, that's refreshing. That's
Yeah,
refreshing that there's a version of Damien out there that I can actually um see myself like, having a conversation with or whatever, or just being like, I don't hate you. You don't annoy me. And I get why you're written this way, but you
yeah,
just straight up annoy me.
and I like that they keep that just because he loves his dad, he doesn't hate his grandfather. Like
Hmm.
he does love his grandfather and wants to hang out with him too.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that touch. I'm not saying that's not anywhere else. It's just it's good that since we're spending 10 episodes with these characters, that you know that, like, as I said for the other characters, there's no like, I love you, but I don't like this person. It's like, no,
Yeah.
we're actually a family. Like we
Hmm.
actually enjoy spending time together,
Hmm.
other than the bickering with Alfred and things. Also, I did feel bad for Alfred when he just went to that French bread movie and wanted to eat a baguette, but Mr. Gordon showed up, and I'm just like, again, why does he show up at the end at their house? But otherwise, it is funny that even as Commissioner Gordon is engrossed in the movie and crying and actually experiencing everything, he's still like, "I still can't eat that food in the theater, Pennyworth."
Yeah. That's really
Just keeps
funny.
shoving it back up his sleeve, like,
Yeah.
I made the recipe that they make in the movie for a reason. But he gets his win at the end when everyone eats a baguette to
Yeah.
watch something else.
He does. He does. For sure.
It's also funny that my kid just assumed, since they lived in a mansion, that the episode where they go to the movies, that the movie theater was in their house. And I'm like, no, like they're actually in the movie theater. No, like
Yeah.
that's their house. I'm like, no, they're in the movie theater. And then at the end of the episode, I'm like, now they're in the house. He's like, yeah, see, you see what I mean. This is
Yeah, I mean, like, I get it. If you're in a mansion that's that big, why would you not have your home theater? But at the same time, you're not in a position where it's like you would invite random strangers to your home theater that would shush you in your own home,
well,
you know?
that's how I was confident to say this is definitely not their house. I'm like, yeah,
Yes,
there's just
yes.
other people here, so no,
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah,
Also, their home theater has a big W in it, but yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, I was just like, it's funny that that's what you automatically knew. You're like, they're rich, they've got their own theater in their house.
Yeah.
Like he's never been to a house like that, but he was like, yeah, this is their house. I'm like, it just isn't. This is not their house.
Yeah, I mean, for as much money as Batman does have, you'd be like, I can see why you would make that assumption right
And
now,
then he
but
was right by the end that they would ultimately end up in the like the home theater.
yeah, yeah, where they can talk.
Yeah, and they can eat their bread.
Yes, yes.
Um, yeah, I don't really have much else to say. I think it's worth watching, especially as Ben said, if you're up for something that's not just a dark and brooding Batman, or
Mhm.
even if it's lighthearted, the perfect Batman that always has an answer to everything.
Yep.
It's got the fun of like 90s to early 2000s sitcoms. Like as I said, it's more multicam than it is single cam style.
Mhm.
But they also do have, like, as I mentioned, like there's Livewire, there's Killer Frost, Killer Croc, Clayface. There's interesting Batman villains and a good use of Joker.
Yep.
At the end, even though
Yep.
we spoiled everything, like there's probably still stuff you would find that you like if you
Oh,
watched it.
absolutely. I hope they do, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I'd like to think that a lot of our audience is around a very similar age to us, and therefore they might have kids and all that kind of stuff. So I like to think I'm like, hey, if I'm talking to those people, I'm like, this is one of those great things that you could watch with your kid, and
Mhm.
it's got something for both the father and the kid and all that kind of stuff, and it's a nice way of introducing them to Batman without being like, yeah, this is really age inappropriate. I'm a bad dad
Yeah,
for showing them this. This is like really, really young toddler infant type stuff that's really good. And then later on you can show them what dark Batman
yeah.
is.
Also, they have a cat named Selena. I forgot about that. That's
Yes.
definitely the reference I thought the Alicia thing was.
Right.
Because I don't know Bright as a character. I was just assuming that is a character.
Mhm.
But everyone else, I'm like, yeah, I know this person. But for Bright, I was like, I don't know what this is, but
Mhm.
I like where it went.
Yep.
All right, you ready to rate it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a solid 7.5. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm at a 7 too.
Nice. All
It's
right.
cute. The animation though it's just, and for anyone that's curious about what I'm talking about, if you look up Sexy Batman, you will see how similar the animation is, and exactly why I thought this was a joke.
I'm going to have to look up Sexy Batman. It's not something I'd ever seen or heard of before.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening. Uh, you can hear all of our episodes on any podcast platform that you choose. Rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends. But if you don't find us on the podcast platform of your choice, you can go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten. You'll find all of our episodes. You can follow us at TDF Spoiled on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, now Lemonade, and YouTube. And you can email spoiledpodcast@gmail.com if you also want to get in touch with us. But please engage and share the word. Spread the word. You can share it too, but spread it. And yeah, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.